We're gonna give you 3 keys that you can use to have an optimal throws practice at the high school level, and we're gonna start right now. All right, so we're out here live at Garage Strength, and we are here getting a ton of throws done. And I'm out here with our high school throws coach, Sam Weeks, and I had a couple big questions for him where I wanted to know, what do you need to do to make sure that you're having an optimal training session? I think that oftentimes at the high school level, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. There's a lot of kids sometimes that might be overly focused. They're drifting away. They're not actually focusing on technique. They're just there to clown around. So what I wanted to do was ask Sam 3 big questions, see what he uses, see how he optimizes his training session so that he can focus on those key factors, and then you guys can take this and apply it today to your own training sessions. Okay, so one of the big things that Sam brought up right off the bat is that we have to have a big warm-up. Now, a lot of throws coaches, a lot of high school coaches, everybody's gonna say like, yeah, we have to have a big warm-up, we'll do a dynamic warm-up with the team. They go through this 15 to 30-minute warm-up, but the big difference here is something that Sam brought up, and that's going to be a focus on technique. So I'm gonna bring Sam in, Sam's gonna explain what that means, and then we're gonna go a little bit deeper.
That's good. Yo, that's good. I know, that one. And you stayed in too. Keep doing that.
Okay, so the first thing that Sam said to me was that you guys focus on warming up and you get a good warm up. You even brought up the analogy of you don't go in and just back squat 315, but then you also brought up the technical aspect. So tell me more.
Yeah, so with the on-site throwers, we do a dynamic warm-up to start. My whole premise with that is getting the body primed, right, for movement, right? 'Cause like I said, you wouldn't just hop under a 315 barbell and try to squat. No, you'd want to do some kind of dynamic warm-up, right? Maybe you take a few reps at like 135, 225 and build your way up, right? So it's the same thing with throwing. Right, we get the body moving, we get the blood flowing, and then that's going to allow us to transition into specific drills, to execute a certain part of the throw.
Yeah.
So I had Brady Miter. Is it Miter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why am I so nervous about that?
There he is right there.
There he is, Brady Miter. That was a good throw. That was decent. So I had Brady Miter in the circle, and we were really breaking down his technique. And I told him, I was like, all right, Brady, your movement's good, but I needed to be a little more deliberate with certain parts of his movement. So with that deliberation, right, when we're in the circle, he doesn't have to think about it because we already primed the body to do so.
So basically, you're using the warm-up not only for the body, but also for the technique.
Yes,
Okay.
for the mind, for the technique, all of it,
Okay.
right? We set up early, we have fun later.
Audience, I know this looks weird, but this is the second cue then. One of the big factors, it sort of builds off the warm-up, the technical things that you discussed, Sam. I think this is something that a lot of high school coaches forget, is that they don't cover specific cues for athletes, and then they get into a session, they've got 15, 20 guys, 15, 20 chicks around, and you're like, wait, I'm trying to, what cues? And they just start throwing out random cues over and over and over again, and they're picking from 30 different cues instead of saying, this athlete gets 1 or 2, and really that's covered in the warm-up. So I think that's the second key point, though, is that how do you progress, or maybe is it just 1 or 2 cues that you're really going to be focusing on that you established during the warm-up?
Yeah, so with our group, between shot put and discus, there's a lot of commonalities between the techniques. So I'll look at like the discus group, and it's like, all right, let's focus on getting open out of the bag. All the athletes can benefit from that. I even benefit from that kind of training myself. So it's like establishing that movement, and then if there are specifics for like certain athletes, then we'll go into more specific drills for that specific athlete. But the shot put's kind of the same thing, right? I try to find a common issue throughout the group, and then each athlete might get something additional that's a little more specific to them.
Look, they know, I got it.
Yo! So I think something like that, where it's like, I establish the movement, through the drills. We have cones out there.
Yeah.
I'm letting him flow.
This is the third key factor. Sam, one of your athletes just popped off, right? And I think that one of the things that you have set up that a lot of high school throws coaches lack is a structured approach where it's like, okay, warm up, we're going to touch on some technique, and we're priming the body. You get in, you do some drills, and they do some easy throws. They do some drills, they do some easy throws. They do some drills, they do some easy throws. Then they start to establish that technique. It's almost like they get to a point then, and they either let it loose and start popping off, or they might try to let it loose, they pop off, and after 2 or 3 throws and not looking great, you sort of reel them back in. And I think that structure alone is that third big factor on how to actually set up the throw session so that on a daily basis, the thrower knows what to expect. And I just wanted you to maybe elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So going off what Dane was saying, yo, Nick, come here. You get on this video too. Wait, scooch over.
You got that right down a little earlier.
So this is Nick Panarello. He's a glider at Garage Strength, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that I did with Nick is we went through the drills. I gave him specific cues.
Brady might have just thrown 65, by the way.
Yo, this is Nick time. We don't care about Brady. I'm just kidding, Brady. I'm just kidding, Brady. You know I'm my guy. So I had Nick go through certain drills, right? And then as we went into his full throws, I kind of just let him flow. We have some markers out there for him specifically because he's trying to qualify for a championship meet. But it's like I allowed him to flow, and as he was out there, you know, he's just doing his thing. Like, he knows what he has to execute, and he was able to just do it, right? And you just had 2 throws that were at, you know, the distance that we were needed. So it's like you just doing your thing, right?
Just hit it. And
Just hit it, and you stayed in, and he stayed in, right? So it's like prime the body, have those technical cues, know the focus, go have fun.
There you go. Make sure you have a plan as a coach. Use all of these factors to help you throw farther. If you guys need help with your throwing, head over to throwsuniversity.com if you want to get coached specifically by Sam with your technique or even with your training. Until next time, peace.